Okay, so this is my final screencast and my final summary for our summer Physics 111 course. So I'm going to talk about some of the experiences and challenges I had with the course and some of the activities and discussions that we did throughout the course. I'm also going to talk about why I think I deserve the grade that I do. So the grade that I said I wanted at the beginning of the summer was an A. So I'm going to talk about that during this screencast. So just to start off with, I'm going to talk about how many hours I spent on the course. So over the 8 weeks, per each week, I spent about 20 to 30 hours on the course. So if you multiply that out by 8, that totals to 160 to 240 hours, which I believe is a lot of time spent on one course. I don't think, well, I've never calculated it out, but I don't think I have spent that much time on a 16-week course outside of class anyway. So I feel this is the most time I've ever spent on a course. So yeah. So that was that, and then now I'm just going to talk about some of the things we did in the course. So the first thing I want to talk about is VPython. So VPython was a lot of fun for me, but it was really challenging, and these are all of my VPython files. It was challenging trying to figure out some of the different coding, but it wasn't as hard as I was expecting it to be. And it also showed me that physics can be applied elsewhere other than just in the classroom or for people that are studying physics in the real world. So I'm going to play one of my favorite programs for you. So this one was pretty cool because we had objects moving in different planes. So it was difficult for me to figure out how to get that object to move in a different plane as these two. But it was really awesome to see that once I finished, and you can also see the tails on these three objects. So that's that. The next thing I'm going to talk about is spiral kinematics. So spiral kinematics was my first taste of physics, and it really made me understand all of the different equations and the ways that they can be manipulated, because we spent so much time going over different problems. So let me go and I'll show you one of the spiral kinematics that I actually enjoyed doing. So spiral kinematics 23, I actually did it right the first time, and I was so excited about it. Oh, that's really big. So you can see here, I first drew my motion diagram. So the object was traveling this way, but the acceleration in the first part was in the negative, and then in the second part it was positive. And so here are the three events, and down here is all of my algebra to find the different equations. So for spiral kinematics, I really like that we had to draw the motion diagrams and point out the different events. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have understood it as well as I did. So yeah, that's spiral kinematics 23, which was the first one I did right the first time. And then along with the activities, we also had to make Excel sheets explaining or using those to help us make sure that our math was okay. So here's this one. So you plug in equations. So like for finding acceleration, that was the equation for that. And then we'll use a different example. So here was the Excel spreadsheet for spiral kinematics 28. So here we can just see how we use different equations plugged in to find all the different values to make sure that they lined up with our spiral kinematics activities, and those were really helpful once I figured out how to do them properly. And then the next thing we did was spiral dynamics. So that kind of built off of the spiral kinematics, which helped having that background in spiral kinematics. And I had worked with force in my kinesiology class, so that wasn't all that new to me, but it was interesting to see how we incorporated force with what we had already learned from spiral kinematics. So here I have one of the spiral dynamics activities. So here also again is our motion diagram and then our two different events. So it helped me drawing out the events and the different forces acting on the person. And then here again we have our spiral kinematic equations, and then we just incorporate our force equation to find the newtons. So that was fun. Now using that after I had finally understood kinematics and then having some experience already with force. So also during the course we had to record videos for the lab portion of this, and those videos were kind of fun to make. I really enjoyed using the tracker with these videos to analyze them. Like I said before, I'm definitely a visual learner, so being able to compare the video with the values was super helpful. So I'll just show you some of the videos. I think my favorite was the projectile motion because I used my dog for that one. So that's my mom throwing the ball to my dog, and it looks like it's going pretty fast, but broken down into separate frames with tracker really helped me see the motion and figure out what was going on with that. And then we also had to do the marshmallow lab. So this was one of the videos from, oh, and it's going to play upside down. So that was me shooting the marshmallow, which I'll replay it again. It's very hard to see the marshmallow because it was traveling so fast, but using tracker to slow it down, that helped a lot. So we had two group projects in the course, the marshmallow lab being one of them, which I worked with Linda on this lab, and I really enjoyed working with her. It was pretty easy. We communicated very well considering it was my first group project for an online class, so it wasn't as bad as I was expecting it to be. Let me see if I can find it here. Well, anyway, for our marshmallow lab, we had two separate hypotheses, but we both found that the longer the tube was, the faster it made the marshmallow, or the further it made the marshmallow travel. So that was pretty interesting because my hypothesis was the opposite, so that was great to see that in real life. Our second group project, which was a little bit more difficult than the first one. There were more people, so it was Diana, me, Mohitha, and Justine. This project was a little bit more difficult than the first one because we had trouble coming up with one topic that we wanted to choose and a solution that we all agreed on, and it was also difficult to get in contact with each other when we needed to. But I learned a lot in this project. I did a lot of research, and it made me, it opened my eyes to a lot of things going on in the world that we don't see, because our topic was malnutrition in children in Africa, and our solution was to find a way to give them some type of medication that can get rid of their worms, because that was what we figured the overall problem was, not that they don't have enough food, but that they have worms. So that was a really good learning experience for me, and I think overall our end product turned out really well, considering the level of difficulty we had trying to coordinate everything with each other. So I also want to talk about some of the neat resources, because I think those were really helpful throughout the course. They kind of gave me somewhat of a break from all of the physics side of it. So they were really useful to me other than just learning about stuff. Some of them I can apply to my life, like for example, the Prezi neat resource was really awesome because I had never used Prezi before, and after using this neat resource, I actually used a Prezi for a presentation in my bio class that I was taking this summer, so I found that really helpful. And then another one of the neat resources I thought was awesome was the MOOC, or the Massive Open Online Course. I had never heard about these before this class, and I think it is something that I will use when I'm trying to finish up my prereqs for masters, and that would be awesome if I could do that and save money, because master's school, grad school is super expensive. And then the last neat resource I really liked this past week was the metamaterials. I honestly thought that this kind of stuff was science fiction, especially like hearing about the invisible cloak in Harry Potter. But going through some of these posts, especially Linda's, I really liked the video that she had on cloaking. Really opened my eyes and showed me that metamaterials is transforming a lot of the industries, and me personally going into the medical field, I might have to deal with metamaterials one day and work with them, so I thought that that was really interesting that I learned a little bit about them over the course. Alright, so there's all of that. The next thing I wanted to touch on, we had a lot of awesome discussions throughout the course, but I think my favorite discussion was the Elegant Universe. It was kind of annoying to watch 3 hours worth of videos, but in the end, I think all of it came together for me. I definitely had some difficulty with the terminology, but getting through all three and engaging in the discussions that I did definitely made me understand the main concept of trying to unify everything with one equation a lot better. I had never heard of the string theory before. Well, I had heard of the string theory just by watching TV shows like The Big Bang Theory and whatnot, but I had never actually heard about what the string theory really was until watching these movies. So I really enjoyed watching them after getting through them. And the discussions, some of the posts were pretty funny. I think people were definitely irritated with the cheesiness of the videos. That was an overall consensus. Okay, so to kind of bring everything to a close, I have to say my overall favorite thing about this course were the controversial debates. When I first read about it in the syllabus, I was like mortified. Well, not mortified, that's the wrong word. I was terrified of having to write this and then respond to all of them, but honestly, I think they really opened my eyes, and I did. It prompted me to do a lot of additional research after reading a lot of them, because I didn't even know that half of them were debates, aka like my topic about milk. But I have to say, reading all of these papers was definitely my favorite part of the class. So yeah, that's my final summary. I think I did a lot of work in this class and a lot of extra research. I think I went beyond what was